catching up on stuff I fell behind on, and I have finished Star Trek Strange New World Season 2. Now, I was reviewing this episode by episode. I stopped when I wasn't entirely sure of where I fell in kind of the gray nebulous area of whether or not my review videos are okay by the request SAG-AFTRA has made of content creators like me, but I've now cleared that to my satisfaction, and I'm not going to go point for point and like detail all of the episodes that I did not do individual reviews on. What I will say is that my overall opinion on this season is mixed. I like the first season better. It felt more sure of itself. Honestly, this one feels a little bit more scattershot, which is odd because those are usually season 1 problems by and large. Season 1 felt way more self-assured. Felt like it had much stronger sense of what it was than this one did. And I'm not entirely sure why that is. I think it's a handful of things. I think part of it is, yes, personal choice. They did focus on a number of things that like I just don't want focused on. Spock's love life. Wow, do I not care? Do I super not care? I don't care about any of their love lives, but at least Pike's feels a little bit, more organic to the character. The stuff with Spock, just like, some people might like it, and that's fine. It's a personal choice. It's very rare that I actually enjoy romantic subplot. Even Pike's I didn't really like. It just didn't feel particularly disruptive, whereas the stuff with Spock, actually a lot of stuff with Spock, did genuinely feel disruptive. Whether it was the one where he was all human for a bit or whether it was his stuff with Nurse Chapel, like I didn't care for much of any of it, if I'm being completely honest. The highs were still high. The second episode was, I would say, probably the best episode of this particular show so far. But it has not gotten back to that high since. That's not to say that there's nothing good, but like some of the episodes, Under the Cloak of War, sort of the M'Benga flashback episode dealing with the Klingons, that one really didn't sit right with me for a multitude of reasons. It seemed to not, other than going like, boy, war sucks, it really didn't seem to be certain what its own point was, and it felt like it contradicted what its point could have been from a few different angles. I don't feel like diving deep into that one, but it really needed to be much clearer and more sharp about what exactly it was trying to say, because it doesn't land right. So I didn't really care for that one. The crossover episode with Lower Decks was fine. I say that as someone who has only ever seen the first episode of Lower Decks. It's a show that I might get around to eventually. Yeah, right, with all my free time. But I don't know enough about these characters to really be invested one way or the other. I thought it was light and playful. The characters bounced off each other decently enough. I think episodes like that, and honestly, in a way, kind of also the musical episode, and even the finale with the Gorn, it feels like the characters aren't really getting breathing room. It felt like a lot of, rather than taking opportunities to really explore or characterize them, even in some of the episodes where that does happen to a certain extent, like there's some decent characterizing stuff in the musical episode, but like by and large, it kind of takes a back seat to the gimmick. And, like, ooh, look at how we've made the Gorn like the Xenomorphs, and stuff with the characters feels backgrounded behind the gimmick. And the crossover episode was cute, but meaningful stuff felt backgrounded behind the gimmick. It's a little odd. I suppose, speaking of the musical, it was pretty good as far as musical episodes go. I forget that there's still a thing that happens sometimes. I think the last one I saw was The Flash. I barely remember that one. But there were a few standout songs. I liked both the opening and finale songs. I liked Uhura and Chapel's solos. The rest of the songs barely kind of registered with me. And like, it was fun and it was cute, but it suffered from a common problem with a lot of these musical episodes when they actually have a in-universe diegetic explanation for why it's happening, which is that the plot is basically, how do we get this to stop happening, as opposed to taking advantage of the format to just use a different format to explore all these things because you've decided to give an actual explanation to it. That means the plot is just, how do we stop this? And most of the songs are at least reflecting on that, if not centrally about that. And it was more forgivable way back when this stuff started. I don't know if Buffy was necessarily the first, but it was certainly felt like it was the one that kicked it off. And like, that one kind of got away with it. But when I see like when I see the characters getting hung up on what it is they're doing, why are we singing? It gets old fast. Like, that meta level has the irony doesn't help. Like, doing the wing nudge, like, why are we singing about why are we singing? Like, oh, it's cute and ironic, yet that's been done to death. I'd actually rather you just do it straight. Just have a musical episode. Don't explain it. I don't care. I don't care what the in-universe rationale is. Just do a musical episode. Just do it. Come on. Come on, you cowards. Just do it. I don't know why I got aggressive about that. But it was fun. It was fine. The finale, I really don't like leaving seasons on cliffhangers like that. Like, sometimes season end cliffhangers can be kind of like the ones that were the ends of seasons of Legends of Tomorrow. Those were kind of cute. Like, they were almost always out of nowhere. And like, they actually did resolve the main plot and then thing happens. And it's kind of a cute hook into the next season. Like, that I'm kind of okay with. But like this sort of, I mean, if we're honest, taking its cues from The Best of Both Worlds. Now, don't get me wrong, The Best of Both Worlds is fantastic. But the reason I feel, well, not the reason, but part of the reason I feel Best of Both Worlds from Next Generation is fantastic is because I watched both of them back to back the very first time I saw it. I didn't have to wait an entire summer between seasons or however freaking long it was. Yeah, I'm not a fan of cliffhanger finales, and I'm just not finding the stuff they're doing with the Gorn to be that interesting anymore. I think I found it more interesting in the first season, when it was like a bit more, oh, we don't even really know how they work that well. And like, they said that more this time, but it also, like, it didn't really feel that way. It feels like we are learning more about them, and it's the big reptiles, but we're kind of gonna have them act like xenomorphs too. Okay, they introduced Scotty, which the actor playing him's quite good. That brings me to the fact that I think Carol Kane is severely underutilized. Like, she's just kind of there. It's Carol Kane. How do you not do more? Is it because you know you're gonna bring in Scotty? And that's why you're not even bothering to do anything interesting with her? Because you know she's going to be replaced? Is that what's going on? I don't know. I'm kind of lukewarm on this season. That second episode was so good. Was so good. And even the ones that I'm bitching about, there was some good stuff in there along the way, but this thing just, it's a bit of a letdown. Sort of on balance, taking it all together. It's not the kind of letdown that would put me off the show. I'll be back next season. But it is the kind of thing that I'm hoping, like, okay, we're going to pick it up again next season. And when we look back on the full scope of this thing, when it's had however long it's going to run total, we look back and go, yeah, there was a bit of a sophomore slump, but they picked up from it. That's what I'm hoping. Because it's not the kind of dip in overall, and I am going to emphasize overall quality. Episode by episode, it's mostly okay. Like, I really did loathe episode 5, but I know I hated that a lot more than other people. That one I did do an individual review on, so you can check that out. But, like, on balance, taken as a whole, it's like, it's just not quite good. It's not quite as good. And not just in a, like, oh, this is as good, but it's not as fresh because I'm familiar with it. Like, no, it just doesn't quite feel as good. I don't know. I mean, I other than episode 5, I did not feel like I wanted my time back. I wasn't mad at any of it. Just a little disappointed. I'm not mad. I'm just a little disappointed. Star Trek Strange New World Season 2. What did you think of it? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Patreon pays the bills. Enables me to do this as my living. Even if you can't help me out that way, like, share, subscribe. Those help as well. Links in the description for other stuff I do. Don't worry too much about it, though. We take a relaxed attitude here. I can talk. We take a relaxed attitude around here so you can come on back next time you need a break. I'm going to bed. Shout out to the patrons who helped make this possible. In particular, I want to thank Robin Moore, Zubin Lutfola, Goddess Elida, Tarak, the thing that goes doink in the anime, Ruth, Oliver B, Solitary Pictures, Ulrich Bogdan, Melinda Walters, Jen, Auntie Kate 808, Becky Sparks, Fernabilax the Poodle, Robin Powell, T. Love, Tracy Scrappett, Angry Casperl, Dave Hall, and Rosalind Bennett. There's being able to hear me try and pronounce your name, plus a whole bunch of other rewards in the Patreon. You can check out the tiers, but if you're already on the list, thank you so much.